Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. There's a story from the time of the Prophet ﷺ. In the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ is from the time of Musa alayhi salam. And this story is about a hermit. His name is Jurayj. So he was a hermit who used to sit in his hermitage, pray salah, worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala all the time, doing zikr and so forth and so on. He's doing good deeds, staying away from society. Didn't want to be involved in any fitna and so forth. So everybody, they knew him, they knew of him. One day Jurayj was praying salah, and it was nawafil salah, so it was voluntary salah, it's not farad. And as he's praying salah, his mother calls to him from outside the hermitage, says, "Oh Jurayj." And Jurayj thought to himself, my salah or my mother? So he said, no, my salah. And he continued praying salah. Then the mother called out to him a second time, "Oh Jurayj." And he continued, and he thought to himself again, my salah or my mother? He said, no, my salah. So then the mother called out to him a third time, "Oh Jurayj." And a third time he said, my salah or my mother? And he continued saying, my salah. So then his mother said, "Oh Jurayj, may you not pass away from this earth until you see the face of the beautiful women." Okay. And that was it. So time progressed, time passed. And one day a woman came to the king of the land and said, "I have this child and the father refuses to acknowledge." So he said, "Who's the father?" She said, "Jurayj, the hermit." He said, "What, Jurayj, the hermit? That pious man?" So he told his soldiers, "Go there, grab Jurayj, drag him here, and knock down his hermitage." And so they did. And as they're dragging him to the king's palace, he looks over and he sees this, faces of these beautiful women standing there, and then he smiles to himself and he looks away. So he goes to the king, and the king says, "Do you know why you're here?" Jurayj said, "I have no idea." He says, "Do you know that there's a woman, she's making an accusation against you? Are you aware of that?" He says, "No, I have no idea." He says that she says that you are the father of their child. So Jurayj says, "Would you mind telling me, where is this woman and this child?" The king says, "She's in the next room." Jurayj goes to the next room, and he looks at the child, and this is one of only 3 times recorded in the hadith and in the Quran, one of only 3 times where a child speaks in their cradle. So Jurayj asks the child, instead of speaking with the woman, "Who is your father?" And this was a miracle from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because of his piety. The child says, "The cow herdsman is my father." So he looks at the king and says, "I'm not this child's father." The king is regretful now because he saw a miracle in front of his eyes, and he starts weeping and says, "Oh Jurayj, forgive us. Would you like that I should build your hermitage from gold?" He said, "No." He said, "What about from silver?" He said, "No." So he said, "What can we do for you to make up for this?" He said, "Just make it as it was before." So then the king asks him, "May I ask you a question? When you came in and you saw these women standing there, what made you smile?" He said, "I remembered the dua that my mother had made against me at a time when she called my name and I didn't answer, and I realized that her dua that she made against me finally caught up with me." SubhanAllah. So this was where Jurayj was focusing on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and praying salah. And the implication of this hadith is that if it was voluntary salah that his mother was calling upon him, then he should have done taslim and go answer his mother. Today, in today's society, our mothers call upon us. They call our name. "Come down to eat. Come down for salah. Come sit with me." Nobody answers a call. The mother might text you, you're far away. She might even call you, you're with your friends. You're doing nothing, you're playing some video games, or you're just at work. And you say, "I'll call her back," and days pass, you don't call. Days pass, you don't text. Or if she calls upon you and you're upset, you might scream out in a loud voice, "What do you want?" SubhanAllah. But rather this Ramadan, if we really want to prepare ourselves for khair, and we really want to do good, and then put everybody else aside, all your friends that you're not happy with aside, all the strangers you're not happy with aside, start with your mother first. Start with your mother. Mend relationships with your mother. Because the relationships with your parents, if they're not in good order, everybody else, it doesn't even matter. These are the people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told you to obey them after Himself, not anyone else. And so your mother, most beloved, go and apologize to her for anything you may have said harmful in this past year, for any time you might have ignored her, for any time you didn't listen to her. And you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you before this month of Ramadan begins. And you start your purification as of today. And you start, coming into your good graces of your mother today, so that when she starts doing dua for you in this beautiful month of Ramadan, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would accept it, and good duas for you, and good things happen to you, inshallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us and forgive our parents and have mercy on them. Subhanallah, alhamdulillah, wa la ilaha illallah, wallahu